Republicans. Well, let me just say, yes, they are, literally. Republicans are saying she appears to be drunk. They say no evidence has been offered up to support these allegations, except a bunch of videos, where she's slurring and talking like a drunk person, which are being pushed by Trump's allies across social media. Trump campaign insider James Blair is not to be the first person who made the unsubstantiated claims. You see, this is why we don't like you, media, and Newsweek. You sometimes do a good job, but there's evidence, quite literally. Someone watched a video and was like, I think she's drunk, and then posted it, and then everyone watched it and they were like, oh yeah, maybe she's got a drinking problem. I don't know that she does, but the slurring is kind of weird, unless it's like a cheap fake and someone edited it, perhaps. They say top Republicans, blah, blah, blah. A lot of rumors out there about Kamala having a serious drinking problem apparently coming in focus. The campaign beats up. That's it. This is from the 17th. And now people are pulling up videos being like, yo, look at this video. One ex just shared a clip of Harris stumbling over a word in a speech with the caption, oh my gosh. It's all starting to make sense. Kamala Harris is a raging alcoholic. There's no good explanation for having moments like this on live TV, dude. Many of you probably know alcoholics. It's not a laughing matter, okay? I think she may be trying to drink to calm her nerves or maybe some kind of medication. I don't know. But she is slurring and acting like a drunk person. Let me those clips. That being said, people who get drunk aren't like in the movies going like like Jack Sparrow or whatever. I know a lot of people who drink a whole lot, and you can only somewhat tell when they're drunk. They're functioning alcoholics. They drink a lot, and sometimes a little too much. Usually, when they get drunk, it all kind of makes sense now. It all kind of makes sense. The laughing, like the people I know who drink a lot, they're not slurring so much. They're talking, they're acting normal, and they're just and I'm like, yeah, they're having a good time. They're bubbly. They are intoxicated. I think that might be it. Well, in the meantime, I guess, you've got the polls coming out showing that Kamala's actually doing really well, and we don't exactly know where things are going to end up. It is interesting, though, that with this story surfacing, Tim Walz actually does have a DUI, a DUI arrest at 95. I mean, look, man, he was 31, he was driving drunk, he shouldn't have done it. This is a long time ago, this is 20 years ago. I'm not going to sit here and be like, aha, he drove drunk 20 years ago. Dude, it's a lifetime ago, man. It's a lifetime ago. It is what it is. I think the thing we should focus on the most, however, in all of this is what she's offering. And there's a video going around. Let me see if I can find the video clip where this one. I think it's important to focus on what she's saying. And I do think that there's evidence suggesting. I would call it evidence does not mean proof, right? So this is what the media loves to do. There's no evidence Kamala's a drinking problem. What are you talking about? There's videos of her slurring. That's evidence, not proof. Evidence, not proof. I'm gonna go there. I've explained this before, but because I think people over at Newsweek could use a hand. Let's explain the difference between evidence and proof. There's a liquor store, and a man walks in complaining that the milk he bought was spoiled. And he says, hey, I bought milk here and it's spoiled. I'm upset. And then the store clerk says, that's your problem. You left it out. It wasn't spoiled when I sold it to you. The guy demands a refund. They get into a fight. The guy goes, fine. The clerk won't give him the refund. The guy leaves angry. The next day, the store clerk is found dead. Shot. And the police are investigating. And they say, what happened? Well, someone says he got into a fight with this other guy over milk the other day. They go by the guy's house, and what do they find? Shell casings, matching the caliber of the bullet used to murder the clerk. Is that proof the guy did anything wrong? No. Is it evidence? Yes. Altercation, so you've got motive, you've got means. He owns a weapon, they find the weapon, they find a weapon, they find bullets, means, motive, and opportunity, and they're like, I think we got him. Turns out, the shell casings are the neighbors. The neighbors was doing target practice in the backyard. The guy who got into a fight with him actually left town. We don't know who did it. And he says, after my milk was spoiled, I was so angry, I went to the lake and went fishing about 2 hours away, and I can prove it. And I was with my entire family, who were all celebrating eating barbecue. And there's video of it. So, a guy who got into a fight has witness testimony, evidence. They find shell casings, evidence, not proof of anything. Calm down, media. Kamala Harris slurring on camera is evidence. No one said it proves that she's a drunk. But maybe when you listen to her try to answer questions, you might think she's a moron. Here you go. This is the clip going viral from just yesterday. Kamala being asked by CNN in PA, how's she going to pay for her $1.7 trillion plan?
Yeah. Explain how you're going to pay for them. Give us a sense of what other politics you want to unveil.
I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the it's at $6,000 the first year of ownership of the child, but the return on that investment in terms of that we do it, and it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it first year of our administration.
Oh yeah, the return on investment.
Child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on investment. And when we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base,
yes, indeed.
the tax base, what that does to fund schools.
Yes.
Return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return.
Wow.
We're strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy. Everybody benefits, and it pays for itself.
Oh, it pays for itself. I'm familiar, of course, with investments that pay for themselves. I went to my bank and I said, I haven't any money, but I'm going to somehow procure, without a loan, without any cash, in any way, a property to invest in that'll pay for itself. And the bank is going to be like, how's it going to pay for itself? Well, the return on investment. I'm saying, you don't have any money. What investment? I'm just going to own the house. I will just have it. Oh, dude. Okay, she said return on investment, 3 or 4 times? I just want to explain that you have to have the money to invest to see a return. And the question asked of you, ma'am, was, how do you pay for your investment? Not, will you receive a return on that investment? We all understand the concept of getting return on investment. Now, the question is, how is she going to pay for her $1.7 trillion plan? And she talks about the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit or whatever. Those are great. Those are credits, meaning we're going to take less from you. In terms of that, all she's really saying is we will receive less money from the taxpayer in hopes that in the future they will generate more tax revenue. So that would be to imply they're going to increase taxes somewhere else, or these taxes will be increased somewhere else. She could be saying, the idea is, first, to be honest, she didn't actually answer the question, how's she going to pay for it? She then went on to incoherently describe a means by which you might make more money off an investment. So you guys remember the meme from South Park where it's the gnomes and they're like, step 1, steal socks. Step 2, question mark, question mark, question mark. Step 3, profit. Yeah, well, what she is doing is step 1, question mark, question mark, question mark. Step 2, profit. It's not even a step 1. She's just, step 2 is give people a tax credit. Step 3 is profit. And it's just, lady, you're trying. Oh boy. But as a lot of people are pointing out, this is why they're not having her answer questions, because she doesn't know how to answer them. I suppose there's a lot of people who are just going to be like, oh yeah, the return on investment, of course, and they're going to vote for her. But I'm pretty sure any rational person is going to be like, he asked you how you pay for it, not if you're going to get money back. Put it simply, I'd like to invest in Bitcoin. Tremendous return on investment. I'm going to go ahead and need $60,000 to pay for it. Where is the money coming from in the first place? Now, she could have just said from the coffers. But, we have a deficit, so that doesn't quite make sense. She could have said deficit spending. That's it. Yeah. Deficit spending. We're going to increase the debt ceiling. We're going to borrow from the American people and from banks, increasing the deficit. And then we're hoping that in the long run, by spending in this way, the tax base will increase and it will then reduce the deficit in the long run. There's a way to say it intelligently, I guess. If I were to try and answer this question, let me answer it for you, Kamala. How are we paying for it? Well, to be honest, the same way this country pays for everything. Deficit spending. That's what we do. It's a bit absurd. I think the first thing we should do is cut spending in other areas that seem to make no sense. But in reality, we want to make investments in this country. We do one thing. We raise the debt ceiling, increasing the amount of money the United States can borrow from other people. What does that mean? Well, usually it means that we're going to ask someone to do a job and promise to pay them back. So what do we want to do here? We want to give a tax credit to people. That doesn't mean we actually have to spend money on anything. It means we have to find money from somewhere else to cover the cost of the interest and the debt that we already have incurred. Right now what we're saying is you will pay less taxes. So in essence, the credit plan, not the whole $1.7 trillion economic plan, is more about taking in less money. So we will accrue more debt. This is how the U.S. operates and everything. That being said, I think that if we invest in family, in property ownership, this is going to increase economic activity. And so while we may actually increase the deficit short term, we're hoping that has an inverse effect in the long term, which will bring down the deficit. I don't know that that's actually a good idea. I think you got to cut spending, really. The problem is people don't like it because it means, and people don't understand this. Now, I understand a lot of people do understand. I'm saying there's a lot of people who don't. When you increase spending, it just spikes inflation. What's happening is the U.S. government borrows money in several ways. You can create money upon the issuance of debt, so they go to a bank and say, give me a loan so we can pay a guy. They go to a creditor, or not a creditor, they go to a contractor. Let's say the U.S. wants a job done, and they say, we need a job done, and the company says, okay, we'll do it. In 1 month, you've got to pay us a certain amount of the money, right? Let me put it this way. You can buy things without spending a dime in the United States. Let's say you hire a contractor to, build you a shed for your tools. And he says, it's going to cost you $10,000 for this glorious, beautiful shed. Big one, beautiful. Best you've ever seen. And you say, wow, it's really expensive, but it's worth it. He starts work. You are now in debt. You don't have to pay him right away. He's doing the work. How did you pay for it? Maybe you won't. The work is being done. You are now in debt. So it's possible to and then you're thinking like, okay, now I just need to figure out how to bring money in to pay off this guy. That's what the U.S. government likes to do. That's what they like to do here. Well, the polls are coming in. Kamala Harris is improving. She's improving in the battlegrounds. Trump is now only by 0.1. I want to give a shout out to this tweet from Jack Posobiec. He says, liberals don't know how roller coasters work. The cover of the New Yorker has Trump and it's a roller coaster, two of them, and Kamala and Waltz are going up the roller coaster with, I guess, cloud coming down to the back of them, and then Trump and J.D. Vance are going down. And Jack says liberals don't know how roller coasters work. I just love this because, like, the intention of the roller coaster, of course, is that Kamala and Waltz are going to go up and then crash. So it's just like the end result will be the same for everyone. But also, why is there like smoke behind them? They're launching up the roller coaster. And why does Trump and J.D. Vance look frowning going down? That's the point of the roller coaster. Wow. This is why people say the left can't meme. What is this supposed to represent, I wonder? We can jump over to the polls, my friends, and Kamala Harris is smashing the polls. RMG Research has Trump up too, but across the board, Kamala is just smashing. You need to understand something very important. There are more Democrats in this country, and the cities are dense. That is not how we choose our president. We choose through the Electoral College, which means you'll always usually see, at least in modern times, the Democrats leading in national general polls, because they're going to ask people in New York, and there's a lot of them, and a lot of Democrats are going to vote Democrat. Because of that, national polls will always give Democrats some kind of advantage. That's why it was so bad when Joe Biden was down in the polls, because that shows that at the general election national level, with large urban centers, he still wasn't winning. In the general election over at RCP, we've got Trump v. Harris. Harris up 1.4. If we jump over to the presidential betting odds, Harris is at 51.7 and Trump's 47.1. And then, of course, I showed you the battlegrounds. This is what matters. Trump is ahead in the battlegrounds, which means a lot. Wisconsin and Michigan have Kamala Harris up 1 and 2 points, respectively. Trump is still up 0.1. This is bad, bad, bad for Democrats, because even if Trump was down a couple points, the polls tend to favor Democrats due to oversampling. This is it's typical. We don't know where this ends up, but if you take a look at how CNN reported this, even CNN has said, look at the polls in 16 and 20, they favored Democrats substantially by like 5 points, meaning you can expect that Trump is doing a lot better than it seems. But respect the polls, ladies and gentlemen, respect them. There's a lot of people on the right who are like, Trump's winning, ignore this. No, don't. Live your life every day like Kamala Harris is winning. If you're not doing everything you can, then Kamala Harris wins. And you know, it's fascinated me because in 2016, I didn't really care. You know, I was like, whatever. And then as time got on later, 2019, I'm like, well, you know, we'll see who wins, I guess. I guess Trump's better off. And then in 2020, I was like, okay, I think Trump's better. Biden's warmonger. I can't believe they chose Biden. And then after that, it's basically, look at everything they've done. They are burning this country to the ground. Since the election of Joe Biden, things have gotten so extreme, incredibly extreme. There's been a series of like raids, and it's not being reported far and wide. Phil Labonte was tweeting about this, attacks on military bases by like fringe groups. That's crazy. And it's not getting reported far and wide. That's something that should be brought up. But I think with the arrest and prosecution of Donald Trump, the civil charges, they're all made up, they're fake. The arrest of his lawyers, the assassination attempt, holy crap. I'm genuinely worried as to where this goes. But we'll see, you know. Kyle Becker says, New York Times writer astounded Kamala Harris would come out with Soviet-style price controls. It's impossible to exaggerate how bad this policy is. Yeah, price controls don't work. We get it. We know it. We know it. But we'll see, I suppose. Maybe it all comes down to a nervous woman who doesn't know what she's doing, so she is drinking her troubles away, and they expect her to lose. I guess we'll wait and find out. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share this show with all your friends if you like it. You can follow me on X at Timcast. And we're going to read your super chats now. So for those that are watching, get your super chats in. And then next up in the slate we have for our next segment, the far left agitators descending on Chicago, protesting the DNC. And this is not just about the protests. It's also about Kamala Harris being pro-defund the police. And she's supposed to be the tough on crime candidate, but she is not. And Trump's got an attack ad against her. Considering what we're seeing at the DNC, there's a lot of interesting questions here. Why didn't they protest the RNC? And I called it. A lot of people called it that there were not going to be big protests at the RNC, and there were not. A small one. Nobody cared, though. Now you've got massive protests at the DNC, and they're big. They're disrupting events. This is nuts. So we'll talk about it. But for now, smash that like button, my friends, and we will read your super chats. Wispy Joe says, starting the first super chat here as well. Congratulations, you're number one. Halo News says, Chicago City is being fortified like crazy. It looks like they're preparing for a war or something. What do you think might happen during the DNC riots? Riots, indeed. They're already boarding up windows. And I'm not surprised. They're treating it like a hurricane. A lot of people have pointed that out. They didn't do it for the RNC. Indeed, they did not. All right. Eli Bedikovich says, did you see the Swifties for Trump hashtag? No, but I saw someone wearing a t-shirt. All right. Thai Nation says, Real America's Voice broke a story of armed Venezuelan prison gangs taking over apartments in Aurora and Denver. Huge story that needs more light. Wow. Jeez. I'm going to take a quick drink of this delicious Numa real quick as I grab your next super chat. All right. MF Damien says, it sounds like a benzo slur to me, i.e. Valium, Xanax, or Klonopin. Given for stress or anxiety, I was on them for years. The slurs are rambling fit. That's what it is. Which one was it? Is it Klonopin? I don't know. They give people some medicine, and you know. Is it benzo? When people are about to give a public speech and they're getting nervous, You might notice this on Timcast IRL. We have guests come on, and if it's their first time at a big show and they're kind of nervous, you can tell when they're nervous. And we always tell, I don't know, what are they going to do? People get nervous. And in the world of public speaking, some people take pills for it. That could be it. Josh Berg says, that's how I know she's drunk. She said Joe is great. All right. Matthew Hammond says, why are Republicans not sowing dissent and asking the DNC why they're not providing more buses for vasectomies? That's what I'm saying. I'm not a conservative. And these conservatives are like, Tim, you shouldn't be celebrating that they're giving free abortions and vasectomies and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, I'm a post-liberal, all right? Not a conservative. Disaffected or post-liberal, there's two different things. Disaffected liberals are people who are liberal, who are upset with the establishment and think that they're not actually upholding the values of liberalism. Post-liberals are people who kind of realize that liberalism has a lot of problems with it. And so they're more centrist and traditionalist, but not quite conservative. So I consider myself somewhere in that camp. There's a lot of problems with liberalism that I think haven't been answered adequately. That being said, I'm not a staunch conservative. And I'll put it this way. The argument is, look, I think abortion is bad. I think it's wrong. And there are certain circumstances where I understand its existence. It's tough. So I have a libertarian view of it, but I do think that it should be completely restricted. And what I mean by completely restricted is that it is available, but it's much more difficult to do, substantially more difficult. Time restrictions, medical restrictions, everything. I don't like the idea of people just eschewing all responsibility. And that being said, we are fighting a battle, and the Democrats have won on the abortion issue in their jurisdictions, in their states. And the Republicans have argued that they should be allowed to. And I say, okay, so when Planned Parenthood rolls on a bus and they're like, take this pill to eliminate your offspring, I'm just like, oh, well, geez, what are we going to do? Yeah, we'll advocate against it in all honesty and say, why are you doing this? But then we'll also recognize the mathematical outcome. Giving all these Democrat guys vasectomies means they're not going to have kids. They're selecting themselves out of the gene pool. And they won't dare touch that argument. They will not touch that argument. I will stress this again. I have made this argument so many times. Never one time has a prominent liberal dared to entertain what I'm saying. Come on, Sam. I know you're watching all my shows. Come on. I'm going to specifically request Sam C to agree with me on this one. I think it is great, for whatever reason, that the DNC is offering free abortions and vasectomies. Run that clip. I would like to help Planned Parenthood do more. I would like to have these buses available for all Democrat conventions. You got a problem with that? You guys have started it, you've asked for it, you've funded it, and I'm agreeing with you, so I don't know why you're mad. And that's why they never touch the argument. Because all I'm saying is, yeah, cool, do your thing, can I help? One of the things they say, no, because you're just saying you want there to be less Democrats. I'm like, what's the difference? So are you. We agree. But you're doing it for bad reasons. What do reasons have? We'll get into this segment a bit. We'll get into the segment a bit. All right. Your third says, Tim, you are very good at impressions. Can you do a Trump impression with a lisp? Love the show. The thing is, we've got a speech impediment. It's not very good. And that's kind of hard to do. A slush. They said it was okay. I don't think my Trump's that good. It's more of a silly cartoon Trump. Given Play says, best color combo in Magic the Gathering, and why is it green-white? You're wrong. It is blue and red. And sometimes red, white, and blue. Because we like red, white, and blue, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? A Satellite Tramp says, if Kamala drinks because she's nervous of public speaking, how do we get her hammered before the debate? Asking for a friend. I don't know. Whatever makes her nervous. Common Sense Fishing says, Michael Mouse called it on Tucker. Called her the R word. That's what he wrote. And a drunk wine bomb. Spot on. Yeah, maybe it's Xanax. People are saying Xanax. Honestly, that makes more sense, to be fair. Because I did say that. I did mention maybe she's taking some kind of mood-stabilizing pill or something to, like, lower the blood pressure because she's nervous. But also alcohol people drink, you know what I mean? So, let's just grab a couple more before we jump to the next story. What have we here? Alan Peace's former trial attorney here. The pills you mentioned are beta blockers. That's it. That's the one, beta blockers. They don't make you act the way Kamala is acting. They block adrenaline. Interesting. Beta blockers, that's what I was thinking about. So then, drunk, perhaps. Drunk. All right. Xavier85 says, love you're doing a morning show. I get to listen to you in the truck without interruptions. The new format. I actually have I have like an extra segment today that I might be able to get into. But maybe not. Because some days, you never know. There's always a lot of news. Let's jump into this next story from the Post-Millennial. The Post-Millennial reports, it begins. Far-left agitators descend on Chicago, protest DNC, disrupt opening night party. And, quote, long live the Intifada, they chanted. They also said something about bringing the war home. Something about, I don't know, it is a stupid chant. It's meaningless, but they are violent. Protests kicked off the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on Sunday, one day before the official proceedings were set to begin, and formally coronate the party's chosen candidate, Kamala Harris. The police presence accompanied protesters who complained about racism, climate change, border security, and nicknamed the nominee Killer Kamala. I kind of like that one. Can we use that? Can we use that too? I actually think an effective attack vector politically for Republicans will be Israel. I think there is a lot in fanning the flames of the outrage of the far left over Israel and American foreign policy, in that there is some overlap with the right over the foreign funding of wars. And the right should absolutely make this a talking point and say, Democrats need to answer for their position on Israel. That's it. Republicans, of course, largely agree with funding Israel and supporting them. A lot don't. Republicans have no problem saying Donald Trump is pro-Israel, even to the chagrin of many Trump supporters and people on the right. Kamala Harris needs to come out and assert her position because the protesters are demanding. And Kamala has been accused, so she needs to answer for this. She's vice president now. The Republicans have made their position clear. Far leftists don't have to like them. But Democrats need to answer because they're trying to have it both ways. So let's get an answer for our good protesting friends over here. How about that? Here we go. Here's a chant, and here's part of the protest. Why are they chanting that at the DNC? Honestly, it's like the weirdest thing, isn't it? Here's another one. Protesters in Chicago chant, long live the Intifada, and out of your house, out of your home, we'll bring the war home. You're rhyming home with home. I just have a question. What are you doing? What are you doing, guys? Like, what is this doing? Honest question. What is this doing? There's a guy right here with a keffiyeh and a hoodie, and he's banging a spoon in a pot. I understand what the casseroles protest was. You guys remember that? All the French people were banging pots and pans to make noise or something. It was called the casseroles. And then people all over the world are doing similar things. And so they're walking around now, and they have a pot and pan, and he's banging a spoon in a pot. And I'm like, okay, I see you here. Why? Why are you doing that? Like, for instance, I have this here delicious... I've been shouting out Numa quite a bit because they don't sponsor the show or anything, but we had James Kloop try the mint one. I was like, I don't want to drink it anymore. I feel bad. But anyway, my point is this. I take a drink of this delicious drink because it has electrolytes. The electrolytes are good for my body and help with hydration. You see, there is a purpose to my actions. I'm speaking to this microphone so that people might hear me. I ask you, good sir, what does banging on the pot with a spoon do for your cause? It's loud, it's annoying, and people might notice you. Okay. I still don't know how that gets you from point A to point B, and I never have. It's like someone saying, oh, I drive my car around in circles because it's cold out, and I'm hoping to make the planet warmer. And it's like, okay, all right, the carbon emissions thing, I get what you're saying, but the disconnect between the action you're taking there and while tangentially correlated to what you're trying to make happen, it's there, it's not doing anything. I suppose these guys think walking around holding signs and yelling does something for awareness. Literally, no. All we know is that far leftists protested. For what? I don't know. Here's a clip from Trump War Room, actually from The Blaze. And you can hear what they have to say. They're saying, "Piggy, piggy, go back home, or we'll bring the war home." I gotta tell you, I think he's literally threatening the police. Also, I think I know that guy. DNC go home? They are home! They're in Chicago! What are you talking about? I just have to wonder, what have they accomplished? Now, if the goal is ultimately to help Republicans, then, that I get. Because I can tell you about false flags. I can tell you that if Republicans went out acting like leftists causing problems, it would dissuade people from voting for the Democrats, and it would dissuade people from supporting the left. It's called false flags. So if all the left does, look, if this guy's legit, and these people actually represent the left, and this is what they do, they are making Republican voters. There's going to be some middle-of-the-road woman walking down the street, having no idea what's going on, and she's hearing the screaming, she sees the fighting, and she's like, I hate this. They're going to want the cops to come out and shut it down. What I love about this right here is Politico. Protesters paused to reconsider opposing Harris to the DNC. They decided on full steam ahead. There are at least 6 major protests planned during the DNC in Chicago. From the looks of things this weekend, I'm not entirely convinced it will devolve into a murderous romp. My concern was that it would. There's a decent percentage chance. Now I'm seeing, maybe not so much. Chicago's a crazy place. There's a lot of heated energy right now. They're calling Joe Genocide Joe, and they're calling Kamala Killer Kamala. So now it's interesting as to whether or not we are going to see the far leftists actually take this to the next degree. I mean, many of them are supporting Hamas. I will stress, on Timcast IRL, we've had a few people suggest that Kamala Harris's administration will be anti-Israel and pro-Iran. And I think that's absurd. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz represent the deep state. They're not going to just stop funding Israel. That's never going to happen. Donald Trump represents the right-wing populists for the most part. However, Donald Trump also is not going to stop funding Israel because
Cool,
that's just
Let me see what we have.
That's the position to take to get the voting bloc to win in this country. Not to mention AIPAC and support. Trump's not going to back away from that. While Trump does represent right-wing populists to a certain degree, let's be real, Trump hired Bolton, etc., etc. And that being said, I don't know why Republicans want to take that line even if they think it's true. You've got the far left breaking from Democrats. Why would you want to give the Democratic Party voters? You go to these far leftists and say, trust me, Kamala Harris is anti-Israel, and they'll be like, no. They might vote for her then. No. And that's not even correct. They're the deep state party, military-industrial complex party. They're going to fund this stuff. That's just the way it's going to go. And this means a portion of the progressive left will not support the Democrats. Okay. Now, I do have a question for all of you, and you can comment, chat, super chat. Serious question. Why do you think it is that the far left doesn't protest the RNC to any strong degree, but they do protest the DNC? An honest question. Because I don't know that I have a really good answer. It makes no sense. The Republicans outright, the Republicans are saying definitively like pro-Israel. And far leftists show up to the RNC, but they're the tiny protests. It was so minuscule, I walked right past them. Drove right past them. No issue. I couldn't do that in Chicago. The streets are shut down. Look at this clip from Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok has this news report.
Is set to begin. Area businesses are taking some caution.
WGN's Andrea Medina shows you how some companies in the loop are starting to board up ahead of the big event.
Given the uncertainty surrounding next week's next convention. Businesses are taking steps to prevent potential threats to their property, like looting or vandalism.
No one did this in Milwaukee.
We've had zero indication that there would be any protection down in the loop.
That's why the owner of Sid Jerome Menswear is reinforcing his downtown store by covering up the windows with plywood in anticipation of possible civil unrest and violent protests that may come from the Democratic National Convention next May.
We know from past experiences that something could ensue, so we wanted to be proactive and get ahead of it.
The men's clothing shop is located on Madison Street, which is down the block from City Hall and along the main route to the United Center, where significant gatherings are expected. The owner hopes these measures will be sufficient to prevent potential damages and avoid a repeat of past incidents.
We've been a victim on 4 separate occasions where we've been vandalized or looted for, various incidents or events that happened in the city.
They're not alone in their concern. The Chicago Board of Services says their crews have been actively boarding up storefronts over the past few days to mitigate losses and destruction. So far, they've secured 12 locations around the West Loop, downtown, and Daly Center area.
Jeez, look at
Plans to board up additional businesses this weekend.
We're not pushing it. We're hoping that the city will be comfortable and there will be no unrest. But if you feel that you want your doors boarded, it's better to board them up than to wait and have to board them up and replace glass.
A spokesperson with the Chicago Loop Alliance indicates that they believe the convention will go off successfully without harming businesses and considers boarding up with plywood to be unnecessary, though they understand why business owners are taking these precautions. Mayor Brandon Johnson is also confident the DNC will proceed smoothly with the support of the Chicago Police Department.
But we're also coordinating with Secret Service and other local law enforcement agencies to ensure that we have a vibrant, safe, productive DNC.
The board-up company says if businesses need something boarded up, they encourage them to do it ahead of the convention, but they say that crews will be available if they need something done next week. Reporting in the Loop, Andrea Medina, WGN News.
Why would anyone want to live that way? I wouldn't. Let me show you this as well. I have this map pulled up. This is United Center to McCormick Place. This one struck me as odd. So the main event is taking place at the United Center. Big stadium. I think it's where the Bulls play. And that's where they're going to be. That Fox is there right now. And then the rest of the DNC with the meetings and the media, McCormick Place. I got to tell you, that's pretty far away. That's crazy. United Center is off 290, and McCormick Place is off Lakeshore Drive. It's 5 miles, 5 or 6 miles away. I think it's about, if you take the shortest route, 5.1 miles by road. Straight shot, maybe 4.5, but you're not flying them. This is nuts. This means that anyone coming from the United Center has to be navigating through concrete barriers, police security, and mass protests. I don't know why they did this. I cannot understand. It seems intentional to make it so that someone at the DNC gets hurt or something. How are you going to be getting from the United Center to McCormick Place? That's crazy. I'm sorry, I just think that's crazy. I don't get it. You guys know I'm from here. I know all about these neighborhoods, especially with these protests. I gotta tell you, McCormick Place is massive. Look at this complex. You've got a parking lot here, this building right here, this building, this whole thing is McCormick Place. It is effing huge. Okay, but I digress. This is kind of crazy. I will say I've not seen anything like McCormick Place in other cities for the most part. I guess kind of. How big was the Fiserv Forum? Yeah, it's not really that big. McCormick Place is massive. I think it's, how many square feet is it? Let me find how many square feet is McCormick Place. I think it's like several 100,000, isn't it? 2.6 million square. I was way off. 2.6 million square feet. Holy crap. 600,000 square feet of meeting room space. Holy. Wow.
Okay,
Wow, that's crazy. It's got a 33,000 square foot grand ballroom for a theater. I'm sorry, I don't understand why they did not do the whole thing at McCormick Place. That just doesn't make sense. They are setting this up for riots and destruction. They are creating maybe the idea was by separating so tremendously, the protesters will be broken apart between those who want to show up to the United Center to protest the actual main event and those who would go to McCormick Place, I gotta tell you, you ain't gonna be successfully protesting McCormick Place. It's off Lakeshore Drive. You're not standing anywhere. Now, of course, you've got like bike paths and things like this. You've got the lakeside path right here. But I don't know how you're gonna honestly protest McCormick Place. All I'm really saying is there's gonna be riots in this whole area. This is crazy.
Okay, this
So here's
cargo is
Navy
about
Pier.
to move out.
Where's the loop at?
We've got something to do
So
with it.
here's Grant Park.
These
So we're like
guys have a bunch
somewhere
of
over
crates
here.
ready to go on a rooftop.
I just think this is
Take
nuts.
the chopper.
I
Land just down
don't know.
from
I
where
kind of
they
feel
are
like it was
and
intentionally
take them
set up in
out
such a way
and search the
that will
crates for
maximize
what
the
we
effectiveness of the riots, creating a massive disruption zone, forcing people to drive ridiculous lengths to avoid the chaos, jamming up the DNC and causing problems for them. That doesn't make sense to me, though. Perhaps it's actually much simpler than that, and it's, they really have no idea what they're doing. That's it, I guess. Maybe they really just don't have any idea what they're doing. I do love these flags you see flying. You got the Pride Progress flag and the Palestinian flag, and they actually made a Pride Progress Palestinian flag combined, which I have to imagine would only just deeply offend many Palestinian Muslims. Thousands of activists expected in Chicago for a Democratic convention to call for Gaza ceasefire. I suppose the reason it is why Democrats protest, the far left protest the Democrats, is that they actually think they can win some favor with them. The Democrats need these protesters to vote for them. The protesters want to make sure the energy is shown to the Democratic Party that you must stop the conflict in Israel, Gaza. You know what's really weird? For the right, you have two principal factions, the quote-unquote right. You have the pro-Israel, conservative, religious, and you have the anti-war, anti-interventionist. And I would say I'm more libertarian, anti-interventionist. Israel, do your thing, have a nice day, and we shouldn't be paying for any of this overseas garbage. Trying to create a liberal economic order, I think, is a failed maneuver, causing conflict, crisis. Trump had it right in pulling our troops back, giving to other countries to pay their fair shares. We shouldn't be funding all of these things. We can have treaties, we can have alliances, we can have international trade, but why are we paying for the military, paying for the security of all these other countries? Don't agree with it. That I get. And then you've got the disagreement with people on the right. Now, the Democrats, they're still the war party. They've got a far-left contingent that doesn't represent anti-intervention. They represent wholehearted intervention on both sides of their faction. The establishment Democrats want intervention in terms of we fund the wars, we're involved with them. The far left wants intervention in the stop Israel from bombing Gaza. My attitude is I can't stop Israel from doing anything, but we don't have to be involved in it. So they're saying, listen, understand this. Ceasefire now means they want Israel to stop bombing Gaza. We are Israel. It's the weirdest thing to me with these far leftists. They're asking you, because that's the worldview they have. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people on the right similarly believe that Israel controls the United States, which is the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like, even if you look at the history, like the Balfour Declaration and U.S.-British interest, colonialism, whatever you want to call it, it's a project of the West, and it's a military apparatus for the West. I think it's absurd to think Israel controls us. Certainly, there are pacts and lobbyists and all of these things that have tremendous power, don't get me wrong. But the left wants U.S. intervention to stop Israel. Okay, I'm not interested in, do you want to go to China and stop the Uyghur Muslim stuff? Do you want to go to Sudan and stop the civil war? Are we going to go to Somalia next? We already do all this garbage. I don't want to be involved in any of it. I say, we're done. But anyway, I digress. Here's another video from Libs of TikTok. Pro-Palestine protesters just crashed a DNC welcome party and barely even started. It's going to be a long week. Enjoy this one. Here you go. He's yelling free Palestine while wearing a mask. It's funny, but also kind of scary because we are spiraling, my friends. We are spiraling indeed. these young people, far left protests, they have no idea what they're talking about. They're angry for reasons they don't quite understand, and that's true. And it's a failure of this country. It's a failure. I mean, look, I got to tell you, the military-industrial complex does not want people protesting in this way. They want the U.S. to keep paying the bills. They want the U.S. to keep funding Israel. The U.S. likes the instability in the region so that it can keep making excuses to be over there and be involved. These protesters, they're disruptive. They would be bad for the military-industrial complex. This is a failure of American parents, and I must stress, a failure of the deep state. You have now a large contingent of anti-war leftists. Now, there have always been, but look what happened to your precious Vietnam deep state. Come on, how are you making the same mistake twice? JFK, I guess, he doesn't want to be involved in Vietnam. They took care of that, didn't they? You had these anti-war protesters don't want to be involved in Vietnam. The Gulf of Tonkin was a false flag. That's now known publicly and historically. Go look it up. The U.S. faked being attacked so we could justify a casus belli for involvement in Vietnam. There's questions about communism and its expansion and everything, but people didn't want to be involved. And so they took care of that problem. Now you got a bunch of young people once again protesting what the U.S. wants to do, likely from foreign interference in our culture and society, and the deep state just keeps having this problem because you know what? They ain't good at what they do. That being said, I mean, whatever. I'll just put it this way. These young people genuinely don't know what they're protesting. I mean that wholeheartedly. They don't know what they're protesting. She's screaming 150,000 people are dead. Oh, heavens to Betsy. Oh, heavens. Have you talked about Yemen? Because we have, and we do quite a bit. No disrespect. You're allowed to be angry about what's going on in Gaza, but we aren't Israel. Okay? So if your answer is no funding, I say, okay, let's make a list of all the countries we shouldn't be funding. There's a lot of them. Saudi Arabia, they cut off the petrodollar deal. Prepare for the economy to take a big hit. Things ain't going to get better. Maybe Donald Trump gets in, wags his finger at Saudi Arabia. We re-up the petrodollar deal. Then he stabilizes this country. Let me clarify that. Temporarily stabilizes it with a band-aid. The petrodollar system is nuts as it is. But right now, global trend oil is getting off the dollar. So your dollar is about to be worth nothing. Hence Bitcoin. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just saying good luck. But maybe we shouldn't be spending and mass spending money on things we can't afford because the system ain't going to be doing too well in the future. I think Trump had the right plan. Secure our borders, bring back our jobs, better trade agreements, get our troops back. It's about to get bad. He's basically saying bunker down for the storm. Call the kids home. The clouds are coming in. You send a text message to kids, the storm's coming, get home now. And they're like, oh, but I want to go out and play. I want to go invade Iraq. No. Hurricanes are coming. And we need to be ready for what that hurricane's going to look like internationally. The establishment Democrats are like, no, we're going to stay out. It's going to be fine. Avoiding actual analogies, it's as simple as this. The Democratic view is we're going to maintain the liberal economic order no matter what, even if the system collapses trying. Trump's strategy is the liberal economic order has failed. We need to bunker down and prepare for the worst now so we can come out of this on top. I'm with Trump. I think that's the right angle. They want war in Ukraine. They want to fund war in Ukraine. They keep funding it. They give Israel $20 billion. We don't have the economic forces. So they're bringing in as many people as possible, thinking we're going to bring these people in to do labor to maintain our economic machine so that we can keep producing weapons and go to war and win. It will not work. It won't work. At a certain point, you will rip the bottom out from you. You will cut the plant from its roots, and the system will buckle and collapse. And they're going to burn to the ground instead of giving up on their liberal economic order pipe dream. I'm with Trump on this one. So I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. You can follow me on X at Timcast, become a member at Timcast.com. Next up at 4 p.m. Oh boy, free abortions. Let's talk about why the DNC is giving out free abortions and free vasectomies. Thanks for hanging out. For everybody watching live, we'll jump to your super chats now.
Holy crap!
Let's grab the super chats and see what you got. All right, just because I'm free says Kamala isn't drunk, Tim. She got into Joe Biden's medicine cabinet. Problem solved. Aha. Brian Martin says, she seems like a drunk sovereign citizen trying to get out of a speeding ticket in one of those clips. Oof. Perhaps. Notice Me, Senpai, says, maybe the cocaine they keep finding in the White House was hers. I hope not. Let's go. What have we here? The old YouTube Super Chat jump. We got Raymond G. Stanley Jr. saying, they think they can sway in Dems. They can have sway in Dems' decisions. They can to a certain degree. Democrats don't want to support them, but they're also considering what's going to happen if they don't get support from this faction. The White Trash Panda says, leftists for Intifada is like chickens for KFC. Indeed. Mike Coyne says, you see, Russia seceded. Russia ceded a strategic waterway to China for protection. It gives China easier access to the Sea of Japan. Very interesting. All right. Kieran the Meat Man says, Tim, have you thought of using the Discord to find more Timcast member sponsors for videos? Would increase revenue and help bolster the Discord community. We were doing that Friday shout-out thing, which kind of fell off. It's hard to maintain all of these. We're thinly spread, I guess, as it were. If we had more members, we'd do more. We are thinly spread indeed. All right. Isaac says, wait, you're telling me there's actually a service for boarding up stores? Next thing you know, there's going to be a service to clean up poop in the street. Oh, wait. Well, there are storms. Chicago gets pretty intense lake effect storms, so boarding up windows isn't just about riots. Probably there's probably contractors that do general work, and they have a website specifically for boarding up, and then when the need arises, they step aside, they do that extra work. I remember, dude, thunderstorms in Chicago are base day AF. We're in West Virginia right now. I have not seen a thunderstorm anywhere near as crazy as what it was like in Chicago with the lake effect stuff. I remember one day a storm blew my window off the not hinges, but the track, and it felt like, so it's one of those ones where you like pull the little bars and it folds open, and the storm blew it out, and I'm in the kitchen. Then there's a foyer, and then the window, and there's a door. Okay, so here's the kitchen, here's a door, here's the foyer, here's the window. The window gets blown off, and the water is spraying horizontally at my face, and I'm like, holy crap, and I'm going, and we had to put the window back on, and I'm like, I don't know how that happened. Maybe it was like unlatched or whatever, so it got knocked off, but the wind was right strong. Very strong. Let's grab some more jets. What do we have here? Justin Ernold says, Tim, did you see the recent hyper-realistic Cyberpunk 2077 mod video with next-gen GPUs? It's the wildest graphics that matched with brain user interfaces, and we are like 10 years away from being there. I'm warning you. You are being warned. We're getting there, man. Once we have read-write capabilities of Neuralink, it's done. You will live in the pods, you will eat the bugs, and you will never be happier. Everything you've ever wanted, and more. Perhaps you're already in the pod right now. You won't even know. Maybe the Matrix is not this world like MMORPG. Maybe the Matrix is literally just a private server that you've chosen for yourself. I mean, think about it. Life is miserable. And they say, look, you don't gotta walk away from life. You go into pod, you plug in the interface, and you will get to live the life of your choosing. And it's only 8 hours of sleep. So for you in base reality, you sit down in the pod, you plug in, and you fall asleep. This whole life you live, but 8 hours. Once your life is over, you wake up in the pod, you go, oh man, time for work again. You get up, you go to work. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. That's the idea, that if they could do read-write, you know what's really funny? If base reality is like you actually sleep for 70 years and then you're awake for 140 or something like that. That's not 240 hours or whatever, years. But, so like this life is literally just us asleep right now for 70 years and we're like much longer lived or something. You never know, man. But I'm telling you, everyone's going to choose to live in the pod. Because, I mean, look, let's be real. There's going to be some dude who weighs 270 pounds, and he's got bad skin, and he's lonely, and he can't figure out how to make things work, and they say, but sir, simply plug in, and you will be Sir Galahad Knight. and then he'll be riding on a horse, and you'll be ripped, and in this world, you are the hero. Maybe someone will plug into the Neuralink where they say, I just want to be a well-known podcaster who skateboards and plays music and is successful. But in real life, they are just some loser living in the pod and eating the bugs. Maybe. You never know. You never know. All right, what have we here? Jeff Simpson says they were selling Trump shirts at a Metallica concert. You think they will be at the DNC? Wow, really? Crazy. All right. What have we here? Someone making fun of Obama. Curie says the left will lose their minds with Israel and Gaza, but when it comes to the Uyghurs and the CCP, it's crickets. Why is that? Because they don't know anything. Because they're being directed to protest these things. It is what it is. Let's jump to the next segment, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one I really want to talk about, and I care so much more about this than any other segment. Let's roll. From Fox News, Planned Parenthood offering free abortions and vasectomies at the DNC. I would just like to open this up by saying thank you to the Democrats and Planned Parenthood. I have never wanted to donate to Planned Parenthood more in my life. Free vasectomies for Democratic men at DNC conventions. Is there a way we can ramp this up and get it at every Democrat event? I'm wondering if, like David Pakman, Hassan, or like Harry Sisson perhaps would like to join me in an effort to get these mobile what they have is these these buses, where you walk in on the bus, they give you the snip and the twist, and no more babies for you. And I'm saying, I am all about helping the Democrats in this endeavor. I'm actually only about a quarter joking, not even half joking. If these people want to get vasectomies, I encourage it. Indeed. I know there's a lot of people who are like, this is wrong, it's disgusting. Okay. All right. Well, let me pull up some tweets on the matter, actually. I have the story here, but I do want to pull up a specific tweet that shows the actual bus from Planned Parenthood, which I find to be quite humorous. Indeed, humorous. And let me scroll down a little bit, because you have the story about them. Here we go. Planned Parenthood of Great Rivers. Take a look at this. Healthcare, no matter where. Planned Parenthood bus. Come on in to our Class A camper. Sit on down and we will snip and twist and you will never have babies. Fox says Planned Parenthood is offering more than a free t-shirt or sticker. The organization will offer free vasectomies and medical abortions and emergency contraception. Planned Parenthood Great Rivers of St. Louis announced in the next post the bus is headed to the DNC in Chicago to offer free services. Here you go. All free vasectomy and medication abortions are filled for our mobile health clinic in Chicago. Check back soon. We will share the interest form link again if we have cancellations. I just want to state my disgust at the idea of just mechanizing and industrializing women terminating their children and men removing their ability to have children. That being said, my actual non-jokey position is, I think abortion is wrong. I think vasectomies are a personal choice. Whatever, if you don't have kids, you don't have to have kids, and people who don't want to have kids probably shouldn't have kids. I think abortion is wrong, however. I am not a staunch pro-lifer. I'm more of a 1990s pro-choicer, which means I don't like saying pro-choice because the Democratic pro-choice these days is like abortion up to the point of birth, which is psychotic. No, I'm more of the, I don't know how you outright illegalize all abortions in every circumstance. So there's got to be some discretion between the doctor and the woman, though I think abortion as contraception is wrong. It should be heavily restricted, and it should be kept within certain bounds. Typically, most conservatives do agree with exceptions for rape and incest, and as clarified by many conservatives, not all, is that many view incest to be rape. They don't mean like a brother and sister. They mean like a parent, like a dad abusing the daughter or something like that, or an uncle or something like that. So it's always about consent. And I think it's a fair compromise. I had this conversation with Crowder, too, and Glenn Beck. The compromise in the instance of rape is very difficult. Indeed it is. Because the pro-life argument is that it's not the child's fault. And most conservatives actually, I shouldn't say most conservatives, but many prominent conservatives are of the position that rape should not be an exception. I think that is the logical position for pro-lifers to hold. But that being said, I view myself more as a libertarian-leaning, traditional pro-choice individual substantially leaning more towards the life argument than the current Democrat version argument. That being said, with what they're doing, they're eliminating themselves they're selecting themselves out of the gene pool. And
Hey,
it's
boss,
tough, isn't
what
it?
can I do for you?
You don't like to see it.
Oh,
We are
sure thing.
compassionate
Let me
people that want the best for everybody. But they've decided, beep, beep, Chicago, we're headed your way to provide free vasectomies and abortions. I can only tell you this.